man opens his mouth to say, "Good morning," to his wife, but what emerges is a guttural, impossible sound, a language that has never existed on Earth. He tries again, but the alien words keep pouring out, thick and sticky, tasting of ozone and old copper in his own mouth. His wife recoils, her confusion turning to primal dread as the air in their kitchen grows heavy and cold. He is trapped inside his own body, a prisoner to a vocabulary of whispers and clicks that feel ancient and wrong. A damp, fungal scent fills the room, though nothing is visibly decaying. Every attempt to form a known word is shredded and rebuilt into this haunting, unfamiliar tongue. He is not sick. He is not dreaming. This is his new reality. And the worst part? He's starting to understand what it means. This was his reality. The more the doctors listened, the more they understood. This wasn't gibberish. He was speaking something else entirely, a language with its own terrifying internal logic. It possessed a chilling grammar and structure all its own. A cold, sticky dread settled over the room as they grasped the horrifying truth. And then they found the notes. This is Michael Carter, a structural engineer from Austin, Texas, a father who built his life on logic and stability. But the notes told a different story. He was Sarah's husband, Lily and Ben's father, a man whose world was built on blueprints and baseball fields, on weekend barbecues and concrete certainties. But now, the air in his study turned thick and carried the faint, metallic scent of ozone. A dry, papery scratching sound began behind the wall, as if something long buried was slowly uncurling. The familiar logic of his life dissolved, replaced by a creeping, formless dread that tightened around his lungs. He was, by all accounts, ordinary, until the fall. A sudden downpour made the asphalt gleam like a city. The air thickened with the scent of ozone and damp earth. Then, brake lights flared, painting the darkness in turgid red. The screech of tires tearing through the night, followed by a sickening, wet thud. Then, a profound silence. A deep, a slick road. A single vehicle accident that left Michael unconscious with a severe traumatic brain injury. For 72 hours, he lay in a deep coma within the sterile halls of St. Mary's Hospital. But in that silence, something else was stirring. A cold, creeping dread that had nothing to do with medicine. At David's medical center, his family maintained their vigil, desperate for any indication that Michael remained present. Sarah's voice was a fragile whisper as she pleaded, "Just squeeze my hand, Mike. Just once." The sterile air hung thick with the scent of antiseptic and quiet despair. Then, against the silent hum of machines, his finger twitched. On the fourth day, the medical monitors accelerated their rhythmic beating. Michael Carter's eyes fluttered open, and a wave of palpable relief washed through the sterile room. That fleeting moment of familiarity was the last one he would experience for a very, very long time. An unsettling metallic scent, like ozone and cold iron, began to permeate the air, replacing the sterile hospital smell. In the sterile hospital room, daylight streamed through the blinds as Michael lay propped up, his eyes distant and unfocused. Sarah stood beside him, a tearful smile trembling on her lips, her hand resting on his arm as if anchoring herself to reality. The air carried the sharp scent of antiseptic and something faintly metallic beneath. Dr. Evans, the neurologist, entered quietly, his expression unreadable as he approached the bed with a clipboard. Dr. Aris Thorne stood at the foot of the bed, the faint scent of antiseptic hanging in the cold, still air. His voice was a low, measured probe in the quiet room. "Michael, can you hear me? Do you know where you are?" "Quote," he continued, the question hanging like a weight. Then, Michael's eyes fluttered open, their gaze slowly focusing not on the doctor, but on Sarah, who stood frozen in the doorway. His lips parted, releasing a soft, guttural croak. Then, a stream of fluid, melodic syllables flowed forth, complex and utterly alien. The words carried an ozone tang that prickled the skin. Michael's voice was a haunting whisper. "Kalen vor ishta menorah." Sarah's smile stiffened, confusion clouding her eyes as Michael gestured urgently toward the water jug. His voice strained. He repeated the alien words. "Rethol? Rethol, sa?" Each syllable thick with frustration. A faint, metallic scent hung in the air, like ozone after a storm, as the initial diagnosis of aphasia seemed to unravel. What began as a simple language disruption now whispered of something far more unsettling lurking beneath. At first, we thought Michael was just mixing words. Simple aphasia, maybe? But as days bled into weeks, a chilling pattern solidified. His speech wasn't scrambled English. It was something else entirely. A guttural, whispering tongue that carried the scent of ozone and old soil. And his behavior never wavered. Linguists arrived with specialized recording equipment, their faces etched with professional curiosity and growing unease. Michael's hand moved with a frantic, unnatural energy, scribbling page after page of indecipherable glyphs and angular symbols. Stanford neurolinguist Evelyn Reed was urgently dispatched to the facility. She isolated Michael, recording hours of his fractured speech in the cold, sterile room. The air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and antiseptic as she analyzed the data. Her final conclusion didn't just solve the medical mystery. It unleashed a global phenomenon. Reed's voice wavered in the interview, his eyes fixed on some unseen point. "It has a consistent phonological system," he continued, the words tasting metallic. He described its subject-object-verb grammar, the air growing thick with the scent of ozone. "It uses agglutination," he whispered, a sticky dread coating his final words, adding prefixes and suffixes to root words. The writing wasn't a known language, living or dead, not even a recognized dialect. It was a fully formed, seemingly complete linguistic system. For one man to generate this spontaneously is statistically impossible. Then, the story exploded. Dubbed the Babel patient by the tabloids, Michael was said to speak in tongues, angelic, demonic, alien. Online sleuths and amateur linguists tried to crack his impossible language, but every attempt failed. He became a prisoner in his own mind, a silent spectator to his family's heartbreak, utterly powerless to offer the simplest comfort. When his son Ben brought him a crayon drawing, Michael could only weep. The alien phrase, unsettling, a bitter, metallic taste on his tongue. Michael took the box with trembling hands, his voice a soft, melodic murmur to his unresponsive son. He pulled the boy into a tight, silent embrace, tears carving wet trails down his cheeks. Then, while clearing the attic to prepare for his care, Sarah discovered it, Michael's childhood box. The air in the attic grew thick, smelling of aged paper and forgotten memories. Inside, beneath the yellowed baseball pads, lay a stack of composition notebooks. Sarah's hands carefully opened the cover of one, its pages not filled with a child's drawings, but with dense, bizarre symbols. Beneath each symbol, scrawled in a frantic hand, were phonetic approximations. The air in the room grew thick, with the scent of old paper and something faintly metallic. The very sounds Michael was now speaking echoed in the office, his words carrying a metallic resonance that seemed to vibrate through the air. Dr. Thorne's office felt suddenly dense, the atmosphere thickening with the scent of old paper and something faintly acrid. Sarah had arranged the notebooks across his desk, their pages whispering secrets with every slight movement of air. Each page seemed to breathe with a damp, organic weight, the ink appearing to crawl like dark veins across the paper. Over the speakerphone, Sarah's voice tightened with panic. "He wrote these when he was 9, she whispered, after his sleepwalking phase. Dr. Thorne's response was sharp, the air suddenly dense. "Sleepwalking? You never mentioned that. It was just a few months." Sarah's reply was a desperate exhale, carrying the metallic scent of forgotten fear. He'd wake up in the backyard or garage, muttering unintelligible phrases. We dismissed it as night terrors, just bad dreams playing out in the waking world. He insisted he had no memory of these episodes, his confusion tinged with a metallic taste of fear. Then, as abruptly as it began, the nocturnal wanderings ceased. Reed's voice crackles with urgent intensity through the speaker. "Sarah, read me one of the phrases. Anyone." Sarah picks a line and reads haltingly from Michael's childhood handwriting. "Kellen vorishta menorah." A beat of silence hangs in the air, thick and expectant. Then, from Dr. Reed's speakerphone, we hear a playback of her recording from the hospital. From his first waking moment, Michael's voice repeats the exact same phrase. Dr. Reed's hushed voiceover cuts through the silence, a whispered realization. My God, he's not creating it, he's remembering it. The air in the observation room grows thick with the sterile scent of ozone and the coppery hint of fear. Each flickering scan reveals not the architecture of thought, but the ghostly imprint of a memory that should not exist. Dr. Thorne gestured toward the brain's ancient core, the hippocampus, the limbic system, her finger tracing its shadowed contours. Her voice dropped to a grave whisper, the air thick with the sterile scent of ozone and cold metal. "The trauma," she continued, each word weighted with dread. It didn't forge a new neural pathway. It blasted away the modern one. It dislodged a memory, so ancient, so primal. It was etched into the bedrock of his neural circuitry. Sarah. A memory of what? The scene cuts to Michael's sterile hospital. He stares out at the storm, an unsettling calm upon him. As Sarah enters quietly, the leather-bound notebook clutched in her hands, she extended the notebook toward him, its worn leather cover cool against her fingertips. His eyes traced the faded, looping script of his childhood handwriting, and a profound sorrow welled within him. A rave of ozone and old paper filled the air as he took the book, his thumb brushing over the strange symbols. The room's temperature dropped sharply, and a faint scratching sound began from within the walls. Michael's gaze locked onto Sarah as he spoke, each syllable deliberate and heavy with ancient weight. Later, Dr. Reed would confirm the chilling truth. Ansha Belgium was no simple declaration of love. Based on the grammatical architecture she painstakingly mapped, the closest translation was far more unsettling. It meant, "My soul remembers yours from before the first sight." He guided Lily's small hand, her chalk tracing a trembling symbol on the slate floor. His touch was the only language between them, a silent correction of the wavering lines. The air in the room tasted of old dust and the faint, metallic tang of the chalk. Each imperfect curve she drew felt like a whisper in a conversation he desperately needed her to understand. She cannot speak his language, yet they communicate through something deeper. The sun sets, and Michael Carter will likely never speak English again. The world may never decipher the meaning of his words. His language is a secret locked within a fractured mind. Was this a forgotten, proto-human tongue? Or the fragmented memory of a past life, etched into his very neurons? A neurological ghost? A unique, personal phantom born from injury? The camera holds on Michael's face. The air thick with the scent of ozone and old paper. His face is serene, but his eyes hold a profound, inexpressible solitude. His tale poses a terrifying yet beautiful question. We believe our consciousness belongs to us alone. But what if, buried beneath every learned word and memory, something far older waits? A voice, dormant, a memory that isn't yours, yet feels as intimate as your own breath. What other fragments of lives long gone lie dormant within us? And what terrible price must be paid to rouse them? A child's crude drawing of an intricate spiral symbol lay before him. Scrawled beside it in a 9-year-old's handwriting were the chilling words, "This is the word for home." The air in the room grew thick with the scent of old paper and something metallic, like dried blood. He stared at the symbol, feeling the paper's fibrous texture beneath his fingers as a low, rhythmic scratching began somewhere in the walls.